former MVP Cam Newton was cut by the Patriots after one season. No, not even given the chance to start here in his second stint or his second season with these guys. Mac Jones will take the reins in New England as the new. I mean, it's a stretch, obviously, to say a young potential Tom Brady candidate for Belichick to groom into. But Brij, Cam's out, Jones in. What are you expecting from the rookie this season?
There's a lot to weigh in here. I mean, I watched the Patriots play the Giants on Sunday, and I saw it was implied the first half was, the starters were going to play, actually get some action, right? And Cam trotted out with the first team, and you figure, well, they brought him back on a 1-year deal. He's probably going to start the season as most veterans do. And if if he doesn't play so well, then you bring the rookie in. That's typically how it goes in the NFL. And, Cam played a couple of drives, nothing special. And then Mac Jones came in for a little bit. So you say, okay, everybody gets to play. That's cool. But you assume that Cam's the week 1 starter. And then the news breaks a couple of days later, Cam's gone. It's like, wow. I felt like I left field a little. I think mostly because the fact that they re-signed him. When they re-signed him, you're like, okay, they want him back. They're gonna run it back because he had some of the COVID stuff last year. They say that might have factored into his play. So maybe a fresh start. Maybe you see how he does, right? He is a former MVP, as you said. So there is a lot of potential still in there, and he can move. I mean, he has wheels. He still has that. But now Mac Jones stepping in, 15th overall pick out of Alabama. This could be. I mean, look, Belichick has proven to be one of, if not the greatest coach to ever do it. And, everybody's always debated, is it more Belichick? Is it more Brady? Tom Brady goes to Tampa Bay last year and is able to win, granted, with a great supporting cast around him. Now it's Belichick's turn. Belichick has a young, proven quarterback from Alabama who was one of the top players in the draft. Similar archetype to Tom Brady, pocket passer. So you think, okay, he has all the tools. So I'm excited to see what they can do this season. It's an interesting division. You have Buffalo last season, made a pretty big playoff run, losing the AFC Championship game. So you probably think, okay, Buffalo probably, is the top of that division. But I think New England can get that second spot over the Jets and the Dolphins. I think that's doable for them. And I think, look, preseason doesn't mean a whole lot. So I think after a couple of weeks, we'll have a much better understanding of where Mac Jones stands in the NFL. But it's always exciting, especially with Bill Belichick starting a new era, perhaps in New England. So yeah, I think Mac Jones, this very high ceiling. The future could be very bright in New England.
Yeah, I'm not I'll try and avoid any bias here with these guys, but the Pats I don't think need to necessarily win anything else. So I'm hoping it's a little bit of a. I want to see Mac Jones be good. Any young quarterback. This draft class of QBs could be one of, if not the best to ever be seen. Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Mac Jones, Justin Fields. It's those 5 guys. Like, wow, that could be. I believe all of them. Well, actually, Andy Dalton's supposed to start over Fields, but that's a different story. But most of those guys are going to get their chances right away. But for me, I guess with the Pats is they're really a differently shaped team this year. They had a lot of different guys brought in. Jonnu Smith, Nelson Aguilar. Getting rid of Cam is kind of like a final reset button in a way for these guys. Where now they're changing the direction. Where hopefully they have enough pieces and a coach where they could kind of get something going as a unit, and then you bring in this young QB who either has to come in and bring you some life right away, a little spark, or is going to take his time, which I think time is what most, if not all, rookies are going to need when they're in this league. I don't care how good you are. Trevor Lawrence, obviously, fantastic, but the Jaguars are also not a great team, so it's going to take some time for all these guys, I really think, to get going. But for Mac Jones, I just think if he can. I really think he's with Bill Belichick, who, again, like you said, I don't think you can debate greatest coach. I think he is the greatest coach of all time just because of how many times the guy's won and just the constant greatness there behind him. And the same exact rhythm. But Mac Jones had to wear number 50 as a QB in practice. He's treating this guy nothing like he's not like he's a lottery pick, not like he's a special talent coming in to be the savior. He's got to be one of the guys, and I think that's really going to help the development and growth of this young talent.
Yeah, no, I mean, Patriots are all about do your job. You're not more special Absolutely. Than anyone else, and I think that's part of the reason why Tom Brady was ready to get out of there. He he had a lot of success there and maybe thought that he was, you know, he thought he was, you know, more important than anybody else, which, you know, he probably was. But the fact that Bill Belichick treated him the same as the sixth long snapper on the practice squad, you know, that's just his style. And it worked for Belichick, but it didn't work for Brady. But that's not really the topic of conversation. I think when you talk about rookies in general, Tom Brady had a season to sit behind Drew Bledsoe. Patrick Mahomes was behind Alex Smith for a year. People forget because these guys come in and they break out. It almost feels like their first season is their rookie season, but their first season is really their second season because they learned from an all-pro quarterback the season before. Of course, that goes unnoticed because that's all the little things. It's practice throughout the week. It's sitting on the bench and, you know, drawing up plays saying this worked, this didn't. Why is that the case? So when you're a rookie quarterback starting in week one, you mentioned Trevor Lawrence, there is a bit more pressure and the lack of experience, it might show, right? I mean, it's worked in the past. Like, you know, Peyton Manning, I don't know if he was a week one starter, but, you know, he was the first overall pick and he came into the league very quickly. So it does work out in a lot of times, but it's also very important. I was honestly thinking that if he had some time to sit behind Cam, that would be very valuable. And look, maybe the time that he had in training camp and preseason will mean something, but you'd think for at least the regular season that, you know, you wouldn't send a rookie out there right away, but that's what they're doing. So we'll see what happens.
And, you know, I guess this is my thought of it too. When I realized, why would they get rid of Cam? You know, he had all those, you know, COVID. He had a rocky road for the Pats as a whole, and that was largely because of Cam Newton's struggle. But I was like, why would they get rid of Cam? They have a rookie quarterback. They let the guy learn a little bit, and let's see. You know, Cam again. He was a great talent a few years back. Give him the chance to see if he can get going with this team. But then I remembered that Bill Belichick is the coach, and I think I might have the case cracked here. I think I know exactly what he's trying to do. He's thinking, screw it. We drafted this guy to be the future QB. Why wait? Why wait behind Cam Newton, who at best is going to give you maybe a little above mediocre play at the QB spot? It's clear he's not the same player as he was as an MVP, but he's still a decent talent and absolutely should deserve to be in the league, and we'll get to where he should be next. But that's really what I saw. I think it's really because Belichick decided the schedule was, okay, we took this guy. Why are we going to waste him just being here? Let's use him for this good reason of play right now, and let's get going.
I think that's the only thing that really makes sense. And I think most, you know, Belichick, a GM/coach, I think it's very rare in the NFL to say, screw it and cut a guy, maybe screw it and bench the guy. But to go all the way and just say, see you later, kick you out the door, bags to the curb, right? That's pretty uncommon. You'd think, okay, maybe he'll back up Mac Jones, right? Still have him there on the bench. You know, you think about a lot of different rookie quarterbacks and their mentors, having that extra guy on the bench, not only as a backup, but as a mentor there. It's so important. And now I know they have Stidham, I think, still on the roster, a couple of these guys, but I think it's really important to have a vet on there, like a Brian Hoyer or Ryan Fitzpatrick, that kind of guy who's been all over the league, who can, you may be the rookie, you may be the better player, but experience outranks everything, in this field. That's really the key.
Yeah, and that experience, it should land him a job somewhere.
Yes.
It's just really of what type of job will that be. I'm seeing more of a backup QB role in his future. The question is where. Do you want to bring him to a team like, I potentially would be interested to see if he were to go to a team like the football team in Washington. They have Ryan Fitzpatrick, who is a journeyman, who's been great. His career has been great. Any QB that can be around as long as him and still produce is great. But are you going to win a lot with that guy? Probably not. Cam, maybe you give him a chance. That defense is fantastic, and that there's the connection between him and Ron Rivera from playing with the Panthers and going to the Super Bowl when Cam was an MVP. So I'm fascinated to see something like that, where maybe if Ryan Fitzpatrick doesn't work out, you give the ball to Cam and see if he could spark up that offense and play behind and with that already great defense. But there's a bunch of places he could go. But I would be interested in that. Maybe not as a Giants fan. I would be interested more of just as a fan of football as a whole.
Yeah, I think as a football fan, no matter who you root for, Cam Newton's a former MVP. It wasn't that long ago. I mean, 2015, it may seem like a while ago, especially the pandemic sort of morphed our sense of time, right? But when you think about it, okay, that was 6 or 7 seasons ago. So we're going to Super Bowl 56 this year. That was Super Bowl 50 that they went to. 6 years isn't that long. So most NFL fans, besides the younger ones, are very familiar with Cam. He's a big name. He means a lot to a lot of people. And yeah, it'd be cool to see where he goes. I like the idea of a reunion with his former head coach, Ron Rivera in Washington. Like you said, Fitzpatrick's great, but it doesn't hurt to bring in Cam, I don't think the money really matters at this point. They're going to bring him in on a minimum deal no matter where he goes, as it seems, right? So he could really go anywhere. But I agree with you in the sense that I don't think he'll be a starting quarterback this year, barring any injuries, right? I don't think a team will sign him with the intention of starting him. I think unfortunately for Cam, I think he is down to the backup role at this point. But hey, if someone gets hurt or if something happens, he's ready. He has the experience. He can come in and he can lead an offense.